You take one sip, the cave seems to tilt. The fire splits into two. Your friends laugh as a cloudy, sour liquid burns your throat and warms your face. Nobody understands chemistry. Nobody knows what alcohol is. But everyone remembers what this strange drink does. So when did humans first discover it? The surprising answer is that your ancestors probably tasted alcohol long before anyone learned to brew it. Alcohol appears naturally when yeast reaches sugar. A bruised fruit, a pool of juice, or a forgotten bundle of berries can begin fermenting without human planning. That means the first drink may not have been a drink at all. It may have been an overripe fruit picked from the ground. Studies of an ancestral alcohol processing enzyme suggest that the lineage leading to humans and African great apes became better at breaking down ethanol around 10 million years ago. This does not prove that ancient apes were getting drunk. It suggests something simpler. Fermented fruit had become common enough in their diet for better ethanol metabolism to be useful. Our relationship with alcohol may therefore be older than our species, older than stone tools, and older than fire. Much later, Homo sapiens could have noticed the same pattern again and again. Sweet fruit change after several warm days. Juice began to bubble. The smell became sharp. The taste became sour. After eating or drinking enough, people felt relaxed, dizzy, louder, slower, or sick. The real invention was not tasting alcohol, it was learning to control fermentation. Someone had to recognize that sugar, moisture, time, and the right container could reliably transform plants into a mind-altering drink. That discovery probably happened many times in different places. Finding the first brewery is difficult because alcohol disappears. Wood, baskets, skins, and gourds decay. Liquid leaves almost nothing behind. Archaeologists must search for indirect clues, damaged starch grains, plant microfossils, yeast or mold traces, unusual vessels, and residues trapped inside ancient pottery or stone. One of the oldest and most dramatic clues comes from Raqefet Cave in present-day Israel. About 13,000 years ago, Nachafian hunter-gatherers used the cave as a burial place. Researchers found stone mortar containing plant residues that they interpreted as evidence for making a beer-like drink. The proposed process was surprisingly complex. People may have soaked grains until they sprouted, dried or heated the malt, crushed it inside stone mortar, mixed it with water, and allowed wild microbes to ferment the mash. This was not an accidental puddle, it required planning, tools, and repeated knowledge. But the Raqefet evidence must be described carefully. Some specialists accept the brewing interpretation, while others argue that similar traces could come from preparing non-alcoholic foods. The site may preserve the oldest known beer making, but it is not an unquestioned time-stamped for humanity's first drink. Stronger evidence appears in southern China. At Qiaotou, pottery from roughly 9,000 years ago contained residues consistent with a fermented beverage made from rice, jod's tares, tubers, and a mold-based fermentation starter. The vessels were found on a burial platform beside human remains. This matters because the drink was probably more than food. It may have been prepared for a ritual honoring the dead. Imagine the work: gathering rare ingredients, processing grain, waiting for fermentation, carrying decorated vessels, and sharing the result during an emotionally charged ceremony. At Jiahu in northern China, chemical evidence from pottery shows that people produced a mixed fermented beverage as early as the 7th millennium BC. It combined rice, honey, and fruit, possibly hawthorn fruit or wild grapes. It was not simply beer, wine, or meat, it was all three at once. These discoveries reveal an important pattern. Alcohol was probably not invented once and then carried across the world. Any community with sugary fruit, honey, starchy plants, water, warmth, and the right microbes could discover fermentation independently. The recipes followed local landscapes. In the South Caucasus, people living in early farming villages made grape wine by about 6000 BC. Chemical traces in large pottery jars from sites including Gadakrili Gora and Shulaverisgora provide some of the earliest strong evidence for grape wine production. Their wine would not have tasted like a modern bottle. Their beer would not have resembled a cold lager. Ancient drinks were probably cloudy, sour, flat, filled with sediment, and highly variable. One batch might be pleasant, the next could become vinegar, rot, or fail completely. Many early brews were probably consumed quickly because there was no refrigeration and little control over microbes. Their alcohol level may often have been modest, especially in short fermentations. But even a weak drink could affect people who consumed enough, particularly during a large communal feast. Why spend valuable grain, rice, honey, or fruit on alcohol? Calories were part of the answer, but intoxication alone does not explain the effort. Fermented drinks could turn a meal into an event. They created anticipation, changed behavior, and gave a group something rare to prepare and share. Brewing also required cooperation. One person gathered plants, another crushed grain. Someone heated water or cleaned vessels, others guarded the mixture and judged when it was ready. A successful batch demonstrated knowledge, patience, and the ability to organize people around a shared goal. That made alcohol a kind of social technology. It could strengthen friendships, welcome visitors, seal alliances, mark a funeral, or make a seasonal gathering unforgettable. At Qiaotou and Raqefet, the association with burial suggests that drinking may have connected the living not only to one another, but also to the dead. This does not mean prehistoric people drank every day. Early ingredients were costly, batches spoiled, and production took time. Alcohol may often have been seasonal, ceremonial, or reserved for special gatherings. The archaeological record favors unusual places such as graves, so ordinary drinking remains harder to see. The dangers were real even if no one understood the biology. A drink could be contaminated. A person could fall near a fire, lose awareness of predators, start a fight, or become too sick to travel. Communities that kept brewing would also have learned limits through observation, memory, and painful mistakes. There is even a famous idea that beer helped inspire farming. People may have cultivated grain partly because they wanted reliable alcohol, not only bread. It is an intriguing hypothesis, especially because possible brewing appears among hunter-gatherers. But evidence does not prove that beer caused agriculture. The safer conclusion is more interesting. Humans did not wait for cities, kings, writing, or metal tools before making alcohol. Fermentation may have been mastered while some communities were still hunting, gathering, burying their dead in caves, and experimenting with the first settled lives. So when did ancient humans start drinking alcohol? Accidental exposure may reach back millions of years through fermented fruit. Deliberate brewing may date to around 13,000 years ago, though that evidence is debated. By 9,000 years ago, intentional fermented drinks are supported by strong archaeological evidence. The bowl in your hands was never just a bowl. It carried fruit, grain, microbes, memory, risk, and ritual. Modern alcohol is stronger, cleaner, cheaper, and available every day, but it still presses ancient buttons in the human brain. If you enjoyed this journey into the distant past, subscribe for more stories about ancient humans and human evolution.